Painstaking means if painstaking efforts were made to avoid hurting anyone's feelings, then the people took great pains, paid close attention to detail to avoid hurting people's feelings. Paltry is similar to meager a couple of pages ago. That is slender, slight, not much. Paltry, maybe even the hair on his head is paltry, but paltry means slight and shabby. His apartment was paltry, maybe. No, paltry means, a man of paltry means he doesn't have much money. He is poor. Panache, to do something with panache, the original meaning is a huge feather that was fashionable in people's hats in the 16th and 17th centuries, but it's now used to do something with panache, French word, to do something with great style and flourish and elegance. Pandemic means an epidemic that is everywhere. Human vanity is pandemic everywhere. Always something bad. Panicky, from panic, he felt panicky. The crowd became panicky when the fire was not brought under control. A panorama is a view of a wide range of, with a wide range, a panorama of the countryside. A panorama has a wide lens view. Parity is equality. People demand parity in the workplace, equality. Pathos is strong emotion. It can also mean, adjective, pathetic, arousing strong emotion, but Americans use it to mean pathetic, not impressive, unimpressive. Patrician is a lordly figure, usually an older gentleman, the head of a clan, the head of a group, kind of like the big brother in a large Korean family, who's the head of the family maybe, or the grandfather. A patron can be a lord, same root, and patronage, and patrons altogether. A patron of the arts, a person who spends time and money investing in the arts and likes to support artists. Some artist needs support. He or she is under the patronage of some wealthy person. Good. In a more common use, a patron is a client, a customer. We want to attract as many patrons to our businesses as possible. Pedantic, good. Loving to show off knowledge, especially in little detailed ways. A pedant, noun, love to show off little detailed knowledge. For example, if I know every batting average of every player in baseball for the last 50 years, my knowledge is pedantic and I show it off too. Is this important knowledge? No. It's and I'm pedantic when I show it off. Pedestrian is a person who walks. A pedestrian zone is an area of a city where cars are not permitted. But pedestrian in works of art or in thinking, the opposite of soar. To soar, S-O-A-R, is to be inspired and take daring leaps into heights, into the lofty spheres. If I'm pedestrian, I remain with my 2 feet solidly on the ground. It probably means I'm boring. I'm too attached to the ground. My peers are my equals, usually in age, but even in rank. A peer of England is a lord in the House of Lords. Peevish, irritable. A peevish disposition, I'm feeling peevish today, irritable. Penal, having to do with prisons, really. The penal code, punishments, penalize, to punish. Penance, very good. I commit a sin in the Catholic Church. I go to confession as no one goes. And I say, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. And the Father Confessor says, okay, for penance you will have to do the following things. Go, my son, and sin no more. To penetrate is to enter, perhaps forcibly, into some area. Also, the knife penetrates the skin, or the surgical instrument penetrates, cuts. Pensive, thoughtful. If I am pensive, I'm thoughtful. I think a lot. Perception, from verb perceive. Apperception is an insight. Perception, insight. Perfidy is treachery, betrayal, never used. Perfidious is the adjective, betraying, never used. Perilous, dangerous, good. Perimeter, on the outskirts of something, on the perimeter of the city. Periphery, same. On the periphery, a peripheral topic even, on the outskirts, not closely related to the topic that we're discussing. Permanent, lasting. Opposite, temporary. Temporary, permanent. A permutation is a change of something to something else. We followed the permutations of Korean society over the last 20 years. That is, it's still Korean society, but it has changed. Mute, Latin word, change. Perpendicular, standing upright. Perpetual, going on and on and on. Persecute, to harm someone by following with evil intent. He persecuted, the Jews were persecuted in medieval and still into the 20th century, a persecuted minority in Europe, Eastern and Western Europe, to persecute, to follow, because that's the root word, secutive, consecutive, and so forth, sequence, to follow, pursue with the intent of harming. Perseverance, not giving up, tenacity, closely related. He studies English with perseverance. If you study English with perseverance, if you persevere, verb, then you will make progress. Persiflage, persiflage, français, idle chatter, talk about nothing. Persuade, to persuade someone to do something is to give that person reasons why you think he or she should do something. Pertinent, related, it pertains to something. It's a pertinent comment. I make some observation, again, and my friend makes a pertinent comment that is a very good and timely comment. To perturb is similar to disturb, a little stronger. Per as a prefix tends to mean strong. It means through, but it's also an enforcing, I forget the word. To perturb is more than disturb. To perturb someone is to disturb strongly. Pessimist is a person who expects, because it really has to do with future events, anticipates the worst, bad things. In retrospect, a person can be pessimistic about life and human possibilities. Maybe in retrospect, but that's not true. It always has to do with the future. I'm pessimistic about what human beings can achieve. Can't be pessimistic about what they have achieved. Though perhaps with a certain shaded interpretation, gloomy interpretation, even that's possible. A petitioner is a person who seeks something. Latin word, peto petere, to seek. If I'm you're a petitioner, then I seek something from you. Now, the word petition is normally a statement saying, we, the undersigned, want you to do the following things, and then I circulate this statement among my friends and other people. I ask them to sign it, and then I submit this petition with the many signatures to the leaders and say, we want you to do this. Same idea. Pharmacist, you know, yakuk, a pharmacist is a druggist, a person who dispenses drugs. Philanthropy is the love of mankind. A philanthropist, I think we did this before maybe. I don't know how though. We've had misanthropy, hatred of mankind. Philanthropist is usually a person who has a lot of money and is very generous with that money. Philosophy, strictly speaking, is the love of wisdom. Philosophy is an attempt to explain life on a more serious level than any other field, except for religion can try to explain life. But philosophy normally does not include God. It can, though. It can. A phobia is a fear. If I have an acrophobia, I fear heights. If I'm xenophobic, I'm subject to xenophobia, that's X-E-N-O, I fear and don't like foreigners or anything foreign. Good word. To pierce is to cut into, to penetrate, as we had before. Pious is loving God's ways, let's say. It implies religious, and it implies that I'm very concerned about doing the right things, the commandments of God, and walking humbly with my God. Pretty good. To placate is the same as to what do we say? To pacify. We had it before. Placate, pacify. To calm, to appease. Placid is calm. The sea is placid today. No wind, no waves. Plaid. Plaid is a fabric or a pattern on a fabric. You know how it goes. Reds usually dominate, reds and greens, especially from Scotland. A plaintiff is a person who goes to court. We had litigant before. A plaintiff goes to court and she says, this man harmed me. I'm lodging a complaint against this person. I want satisfaction. A planet, strictly speaking, is a body that wanders through the skies, like Earth. A plea is a noun, is a strong petition, an asking for something, a plea for mercy. Pliable, if something is pliable, it can be folded, plié. Plow is American spelling, notice British, P-L-O-U-G-H. To plow, a farmer plows the field to loosen the soil and then plant his crops. To pluck is to pinch and to pull. He plucked his hairs. Women pluck their eyebrows, perhaps. Men too, maybe. A violinist plucks the strings, or a cellist. Plunder. As a verb, if I plunder something, for example, in a riot, the good citizens often break the windows of stores and plunder the stores. Steal, take everything from the store. Plunge is to dive. I plunged. Normally VT though. It's both though. He plunged into the water, VI. He plunged his hand into the water, VT.